Okay, it should say it's recording. All right. Man, Skype is a wonderful thing. There's a plus side to technology, folks. It ain't all bad. Got to go beyond good and bad, good and evil, beyond good and evil, like Nietzsche said. So yeah, we're just. Oh, go ahead, buddy.
No, I was just going to say that there's so many ways in which technology can mess with your practice, but just the very fact that we can access these teachings so much more easily and connect to each other is huge.
Yeah, it's nice. It's very nice. Yeah, we just have to be careful that we don't have too much information getting attached to too much information all at once. Hi, Arlene.
Hello. I'm good. It's Aurelian. You had it right the first time.
Aurelian. Cool, man.
How is everyone? Everyone doing well?
Oh, there he is. Alexander, how you doing, dude? Love the beard. Wonder if
Thank you. Everything is good. I liked it when you had one, Dhammarato.
I know, man. Cool, I think I'm gonna do it again.
I dig it.
It was so easy. It was the easiest haircut in the world because you shave your head and let it grow, and then you don't have to do anything. You just shave your head every couple months.
Right. I agree, man. I've had some hair on the head for a little bit now, but most of the time I just cut it off.
Yeah.
Be done with it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, beards are fun.
They sure are.
So yeah, dudes, we're just all friends here. Nobody's in charge. So feel free to speak whatever's on your mind, preferably related to the Dhamma practice. And yeah, man. Has anybody got anything that's been on their mind pertaining to the Dhamma at all?
Oh, really? I've just been enjoying the benefits from it lately, you know? It's been good.
Yeah, the
you have
benefits
anything on your mind? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have one topic. What about the times when there's not enough energy for right effort? What to do then?
Energy. I don't know if that exists. If you're alive, you might have enough effort to change your thoughts, feelings, and emotions into wholesome thoughts, feelings, and emotion. And coming back to the breath, the only and most wholesome thought really is everything's okay right now. So if you can't come back to that, then your biological machine must be broken or something. And it's no longer your problem to deal with. Yeah. Because even if you're sick, even if you have cancer, even if I'm not going to bullshit you and be like, oh, it's all sunshine and rainbows and shit. You know, everybody has got their own journey and stuff. But I don't doubt that no matter what position you are in life, you can always remember that right here, right now is okay. And take a deep breath and relax. You know, that's our whole practice, is getting away from the monkey mind, coming back to reality, the Dhamma of here and now. And the longer you practice it, the more you see, like, day will pass, day after day. And when you're coming back to the breath, relaxing, and whatever activity you're doing, it doesn't have to be sitting and all this stuff. But day by day will go by and you'll see, wow, for the last 4 days or so, I've only really been focusing on my breath or paying attention to the here and now in my breath. And I know if I wasn't doing that, my mind those 4 days would have been totally fucked up in a whole bunch of different dramas and issues and egos and stories and characters and all this shit. And it builds you confidence. You're like, oh, I can do this. Like, wow, this shit is real. Like, we don't have a bill comes, you try to pay it or you don't. You know, a problem occurs in the physical reality. You either try to fix it or you don't. Problems all solved. And when it comes to the mind, you're just breathing, relaxing, and realizing that everything's okay here and now. And the fact or the illusion that you're not all right becomes more obvious that it's just an illusion. The more you practice, you'll see. Like Ajahn Chah said this beautiful thing one time. He was like, the mind is like an ignorant child, spoiled child who's always trying to get your attention. Like, Daddy, Mommy, here, buy me this ice cream, buy me this. And Ajahn Chah said, had the attitude towards the mind of all these unwholesome thoughts as you would to like a spoiled child. Like, yeah, whatever. You don't take the child seriously. You don't pay attention to every word the child says because you know he's just being annoying. He's asking for stuff he's not supposed to do. So you just say, yeah, we'll get it later, whatever. You don't pay any attention to it. And that's our attitude we have to have towards the mind. It's not anything that needs our attention. It's not anything valuable. Giving in to the child's demands, giving attention to the child will only further his negative behavior. So we ignore it. And then Buddhadasa Bhikkhu used to say, like, in this book I was reading, or I'm sorry, this YouTube talk I was watching with Buddhadasa Bhikkhu, he was saying have like a computer mind, or be like a computer human, like a robot, you know, act automatically. Things come, you try to solve them. But as far as worries, concerns, dramas, characters, egos, all that goes out the window. You're just on autopilot. And it's very amazing. And it's very peaceful. And it's very empty. And it's beautiful because all your problems seem to vanish. You don't have to deal with any of the bullshit. I saw this beautiful poet on Instagram, and he was saying, you know, we're all going to die. We're all going to end up in the ground. What are you so fucking worried about? Story ends the same. Like that Bukowski quote, nobody wins, asks Caesar. You know, he got stabbed in the back by his friends and shit. He's the most powerful man in the world at one point. It all ends up in the ground, you know, so chill the fuck out. Don't take it too seriously. It's not important. Everything's a Nietzsche, dukkha, anatta, not worth anything. And don't get caught into the over-intellectualizing of these things. It's so easy to get caught up in the philosophical chasing mindset in the Dhamma practice. What about this? What about that? What about this? And Dhammarato gave a talk the other day saying, not sure. Everything that comes to the mind, not sure, not sure. It's a Teflon mind. Comes in the mind, slides right out. What about this? Polly Cannon said this, slides right out. Oh, you don't know my problems, slides right out. Everything. You know, even happiness. Oh, I feel so good today. It's not going to last. It's not a sure thing. Just let it slide right out. Enjoy it, but it's not going to last. Don't attach to it. It's not the enjoying being alive that's the problem. It's the attachment to the joy, to the I would say mundane joy, in a sense, to use the word in the normal sense of mundane. Yeah. Temporary sense pleasures don't last. It's all bullshit. They come, they go. Since you were a child, has it been any different? Just this. Just a moment, just like this. Nothing special. So what are you going to chase? Take acid and chase bliss. Take ayahuasca and chase all this psychological, spiritual mumbo jumbo. All the people who take ayahuasca and have these amazing trips in the journey, they come back and they're still the same old people. They piss and shit like everybody else, and they're still doing YouTube videos, and they're still normal people. It didn't do much. You can't change this. It just is the way it is, and ironically, it's constantly changing. You know, you have no control over it. You just have control over if you're going to be attached to it or not. So we can always choose the high road, the noble path, just letting everything go. It's just breathing. It's just relaxing. And anything else is a trivial pursuit. Anybody else have anything they want to add or say?
I maybe had something to ask, or just to get your thoughts around discipline and sort of habit making. So if I think of sort of before I joined this Sangha and got quite influenced by Dhammarato's teachings and also your teachings as well, and of course the Buddha's teachings, originally.
That's all the Buddha's teachings, like Dhammarato said. This all goes back to him. He's a genius who discovered all this.
Yeah, no, of course. But I guess the thing that I really took from Dhammarato was to sort of give yourself a break on your practice, right? And to, my practice nowadays is a lot, like pound for pound, so to speak. It's a lot better than it ever was before. If I think of how I started the year, I set this goal of kind of meditating, 3 hours a day and doing long sits and all of this sort of stuff. And yet I was never, I might put in, do an hour-long sit, but then it wouldn't be as effective for me in terms of, encouraging those wholesome thoughts and bringing peace as my practice is nowadays. So it's overall a massive net gain, and I've, that's why I come as often as I can to these sittings and to these whatever you call them, meetups. But just I guess the one area where I'm a little bit like I'm less disciplined than I used to be in my practice. So, and I don't know if that's entirely a good thing, because I might kind of feel like I let myself get away with stuff a little bit more than I might have done before, without having that focus on like, I've got a target, I'm gonna.
It's not very much. It's not very much discipline. All of us here are disciplined enough when we're walking on a path outside not to step in dog shit most of the time.
Right.
We're all disciplined enough for that. And that you wouldn't call that discipline. You would just call that walking. It's part of walking. You don't have to like write books on avoiding dog shit. You don't have to like do mathematics and philosophy and over intellectualization and hard work and discipline. No, you see some shit, you walk the other way or you walk around it gently. Sometimes it's even fun. And if you do step in shit once in a while, it's no big deal. You just wipe it off. You need to beat yourself over the head and say, I wasn't disciplined enough not to step in the dog shit. It fucking happens sometimes. So that's the only discipline you need. The problem is our bad habits, our sankharas, we don't see that we like feeling like shit. Because it's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard bitching and complaining our whole lives from our parents, relatives, friends, and we've been the victim all this time, and we get attention when we're the victim. We've heard stories and movies about victimhood and dramas, so we like it. Once you stop liking that, once you go above liking and disliking, then you'll be somewhere that's actually valuable, which is here and now, and get away from the fake story of I'm not disciplined enough, I need to become something. Where does that discipline go? Where does those ideas of needing to be more disciplined to get something go when you're smelling a beautiful flower? Where does it go? When you're washing dishes and you kind of lose yourself in that moment, where does it go when you're sleeping? It's just this. There's nowhere better than this. You ain't going to find it. It's an illusion. So remind yourself that everything's okay right now. It's only, what it reminds me of for you Christians who or like, if you're like me, who are baptized or born Christian with family and stuff, familiar with it. It's like Jesus said, when Jesus would say the beautiful stuff to even murderers, he would say, you're forgiven. Now go forth and sin no more. And the people couldn't believe it. Like, if they believed he was the Messiah, they didn't believe it. Like, What do you mean? I should be punished. I'm a fucking scoundrel. I should have all this shit done to me. And Jesus is like, no, dude, we're not about that. You're fine. Just go and don't do it again. And that's getting away from karma. That's getting away from our bad habits. And the most beautiful jewel of the Dhamma practice is like, you are the Buddha. You are fine right now. Just go forth and don't cause any more horrible karma for yourself. Go forth and stop needing stuff. Stop needing to become an arhat. Stop needing to become a better Buddhist or a greater practicer or having more discipline or learning more knowledge. That's a big fucking one in the West. Everybody's a fucking scholar. Everybody's a PhD. Who gives a shit? That's a mind game you have from childhood where you were taught hierarchies. I need to be either better or worse than people. Can't just be the same, God forbid. Can't all be one. God forbid that happen. We need a way that says we're better than each other. He's an abbot. He's a layman. He's a PhD. He's a football. He's a gardener. He's a banker. That's superstition. Everything that comes from here is superstition. Aside from Sukha is reality. Sukha is the Dhamma. And when you realize that, what used to be called suffering is just a normal biological feeling in the body. It no longer, Dhammarato's right, there's still sukha, there's still dukkha there once in a while, but it's no longer has the control over you, and it becomes a natural phenomenon. Like, oh, when you don't take it personally, is it still dukkha? Kind of no. But Dhammarato's right that you'll never get rid of it, but you see it for what it is, so it's no longer a problem. It's no longer a hurdle. It's just a weed in the garden, pick out, no problem. Ever observe crazy ass people? Go to a psych ward and observe crazy people. They're on the opposite end. If the Buddha's on one spectrum, insanity is on the other. Like, I'm not talking schizophrenics who are in society and can hold themselves and can get through life okay. I'm talking about the people who are in the fucking psych wards doing crazy shit. Like real crazy, bad, illegal shit. Go talk to them. And you'll see they'll catch on to a thought. Oh, I'm Superman. And they'll hold on to it. And they'll start dressing like Superman. And they'll fucking do crazy shit like jump off buildings like Superman. Because that's the opposite end of the spectrum of the Buddha. They're so believing that they are the character in the mind that they'll even destroy the innocent body because of it. And I'm not saying, it's just an example. I'm not saying it's their fault or this fault or I don't care. I don't know. I don't care. But I'm just saying, when we hold on to a thought, feeling, and emotion so tightly that it destroys us, we all can see clearly how that's the major insanity people. But also, it's not that much different than the regular people we come in contact on a daily basis. They are obsessed with the past. They're obsessed with the future. They're obsessed with anicca, dukkha, anatta, and they don't see it for what it is. They think it's a lovely, precious diamond, and it's just dog shit. They're obsessed with it. It's all superstitious. It's all superstition. Not worth holding on to, not worth chasing. Yeah, it's very simple. It's not a thing that only I can grasp because I have this hidden information. No, Dhammarato gave me the information the first moment I met him. So did Buddhadasa Bhikkhu. Don't worry, be happy. Dukkha dukkha nirodha. No secret. Don't have to be special. A child can understand it, probably better than us. They seem to be happy most of the time as long as nobody's fucking with them. Like parents love to do. Parents love to control them and beat them and go in timeout and do this. Why? Because that's how they treat themselves on the inside. That's how society taught them. That's their bad habits. And they get the whole wheel of samsara going again. But there is no wheel of samsara anyway. There's just sukha. There's just peace right now. Our true nature. I like saying it's a true nature like Bodhidharma because that's a really good anchor to kind of come back to these things that can kind of have a tendency, I find, with people to get subtly out of, I don't know. It's hard to grasp. Not hard to grasp. It can be difficult to grasp. It can be. It's not. It's easy, but it can be, because we're not used to simplicity. So when I say coming back to our true nature, I'm saying coming back to our breath, coming back to here and now, getting away from the spider web. That's all there is to it. And days will go by and you'll see, wow, I can do this. What otherwise would have been a problem, I know for sure would have been problems. I see the days go by when you can go in your garage, you can go in a cave and just sit there. And no problems will happen, and test it for weeks, for months. You'll be like, wow, I thought I had all these problems. That's why seclusion is important, especially at the beginning. He said, I thought I had all these problems, but the days go by, the sun comes up in the morning, the moon comes up at night, and the drama's still nowhere to be found. That's odd. How come when I go to society, how come when I get attached to the mind, all this drama comes up? It's not really even the environment. The environment just helps you see the truth of nature, the Dhamma, that nothing's wrong. Go walk in a forest. There's no politicians. There's no Donald Trump and Kamala Harris fighting each other. There's no mother badgering you. There's no father disappointed in you. There's no society telling you got to do this and do that. And you see, like, wow, that's why they say go in nature, because when I'm here, it's just this beautiful silence, as Robert Adams said, silence of the heart. And you see it for yourself. And the moment you step away from that, you're asking for trouble. The moment you step away from that self, from that true self, you're fooling yourself. Then you become Bob or Tom or whoever the fuck. Then you have a past and a story, and you get all caught up in this bullshit. Because it's familiar, you know, these bad habits are familiar, but they're easy to break. Just takes a little tiny practice, day by day. Yeah. Anybody else have anything they want to say?
Yeah, I have something maybe to talk about. So, whilst I've, since discovering the Dhamma, for the past 2 months-ish, month and a half, right? I've been basically almost entirely in seclusion. So I live alone and I work remotely. So I don't really interact with many people. But then when I obviously go outside to do walks and shopping, yoga, gym and stuff. But I'm actually going to university in 25 days. So what would your advice be to transition from being in a heavy seclusion period of my time to being heavy socializing? I mean, I kind of already know the answer. It would be to just keep remembering to return to the breath, right? And I'm okay. But what would your take be on if I want to do social events and stuff and participate doing participate I don't know, social events, what would your advice be on that? I don't know, I kind of lost my thoughts.
Either do them or don't.
Yeah, true.
Doesn't really matter. You could be just as happy whether you want to be a medical doctor or something, go do it. You don't want to do that, you want to sit in a cave in Thailand, go do it. Either way, you want to be a householder in a room, there's no difference. Either way, you'll be fine.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. True.
You can't escape your true nature. You only think you can.
Yeah.
So whatever you want to do, you want to go to university, go have fun. You don't want to go, have fun. Nobody's gonna think any less of you here anyway.
Yeah. To be honest, here is where matters. So.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Anybody else want to answer his question?
I would recommend not thinking about it too much. Socializing is quite a natural aspect of being a human being, and the only hindrance that can come is when you think about it too much and you have expectations and all that stuff. So just try not to think about it. When it comes up, just say you're all right, it's fine, and then you will see what happens, and that's all right. Just don't make it a big deal or anything.
It's such a great advice, actually, because I think part of why I had the feeling to ask that question is because I was overthinking it. But yeah, I just need to keep it simple, stop thinking about it, and just be in the present. So simple. Oh, glorious.
Maybe sort of, if you can, just try to come to these meetups, right?
Yeah, true. I mean, I'm hoping I can still make time for it, but yeah,
and then it will
yeah.
always it will keep it sort of front of mind, right? Even if you end up, I don't know, going out socializing or whatever doing at uni.
Yeah, it keeps bringing me. Yeah, that's why I really like attending these calls. Like you mentioned, whenever possible, always brings you back to the Dharma being central. Yeah, I'm really appreciative for everyone who hosts these calls.
Yeah, without you guys, there is no calls. And I've been there, just staring at a wall for 10 minutes until somebody shows up. So you guys are what makes this possible. And think of all the good you're doing for other people who maybe never will come to these calls, but they just watch it on YouTube and they're like, they have 1,000 books, 1,000 teachers telling them different things. But then they come here and they see the consistent message and get used to saying things that are repetitive. Get used to it. We're not here to entertain each other. We're here to remind ourselves of the truth. So it's going to sound repetitive. That's okay. There's not much to say, really. Silence is the best teacher, really, like Ramana Maharshi said. But these calls, it's okay to talk to. But there's not much to it. It's easy peasy. But people don't want to hear, that we're all equal. They don't want to hear that everybody's a Buddha. They want to strive. They want to take tests. Haha, I got a better grade than you. I got this than you. Buddhadasa Bhikkhu, they asked him one time in the book, The Truth of Nature, they asked him, these college kids, they're like, what's the difference between a monk and a householder? Can both become enlightened? Can both reach Nibbana? He said, in order to reach Nibbana, one has to go beyond both a householder and a monk. Basically saying, you got to get out of the weeds. You got to get out of your head of all of this anicca, dukkha, anatta. And how do we do that? We remember to look and change. Everything's okay here. And that's the Noble Eightfold Path. Just to breathe and relax. And it's almost like, for me anyway, I don't know, it's like every time I remember that feeling of just like, oh yeah, everything is okay. It really it is just like heaven. Like, so much so that sometimes I almost think that I purposely get into dukkha just to experience that feeling of like everything's okay. I like to forget about it sometimes because it feels so good to remember, like, oh yeah, go forth and sin no more. Like, stop being a sinner. Just go forth and sin no more. You're forgiven. You're allowed to enter the kingdom of heaven. I'm like, wow, that's cool, man.
I wanted to say with regarding to practice, because I've also been there where it's like, okay, I want to sit an hour each day in one sitting. I want to do this and stuff like this. And it isn't about practice anymore then, because it's just about sitting. And really the practice never stops and you always have to practice. But sitting alone isn't practice. It can calm you down, it can relax you and stuff like this. But really there's nothing you achieve through sitting. I find it quite funny. I've meditated with Zen people, and I love them and stuff like this. But they're so much about discipline, and you have to sit for a long time, and you have to do this and that. And really, when you read the Heart Sutra, which is quite important for Mahayana Buddhism, it says right in the Heart Sutra, there's no attainment and nothing to attain. And you don't have to do anything. You just have to practice and come back to the breath, and everything is all right. But doesn't have to be discipline. You just have to come back to the breath. Everything is all right. That's enough.
Yes. That's why there's only a few Zen teachers I actually really prefer, is because Zen Master Ikku, Zen Master Ryokan, and I like Thich Nhat Hanh and oh, what's his name? Xiong Sen, I believe his name is. But they were very, they're kind of like, especially Zen Master Ikku and Ryokan, they're like what you're saying, they're outcast. Because when Bodhidharma brought Zen to from India to China, what happened? They hear the truth and then they want to make it a religion, you know? Let's all dress in robes. Let's all shave our heads. Let's all do this. Let's have discipline. Let's have this. But if you read any of the poetry or the stories of Zen, I highly recommend Zen Master Ryukin or Zen Master Ikku. You'll see that Zen Master Ikku, he was like kind of like funny. He would get drunk and visit prostitutes and eat fish when other monks would like condemn him. And he was just happy as a clam. He would play hide and seek with children all day by the river, having fun. Zen Master Ryukin was different. He didn't drink or any of that stuff. Zen Master Ryukin was just a hermit living in a hut. And he fell in love as he got older. But people would find him and he would just be like spinning a plate in his hut, just like playing a game like a child, just having fun, drinking tea, eating rotten food. You know, I really admire these. And I'm not saying you have to be like that in order to reach Nibbana. It just shows you these people are people and they're just content. But the people who have not reached Nibbana, they look at them and say, no, he's different. He drinks and he's this and he's being a bad monk and he's being a bad Zen practitioner. They should act like this. They should act this. And both of them, as different as they are, they're really the same because they're just content. They're not dissatisfied. And it's the people who have dissatisfaction that make the distinctions between them, you know? So don't turn the Dhamma into religion, you know? That's why I like when Dhammarato is like, Buddhism is like, what's that, you know? Meditation, what's that? Yeah, we know what it means, but you know what I mean? It's like, don't get too attached to those labels because they're just ghosts in the wind, nothing more. Yeah.
Following what you just mentioned, right? So sometimes I watch these videos, like the Dharma talks from these monks online and like different monasteries. One of them is like called Clearlight Mountain Monastery. And my question would be actually kind of following what you mentioned, like why is it that if they're so immersed in the Dharma, do they not feel the needs, but like why ordain if you're content anyway? Or was their contentment only found after ordaining?
It's ordaining, all that stuff is for beginners. Ordaining, it's like I've said this example before. The kindergartner teacher, right? She goes to school to teach the children. And when she plays the games with the children, she puts on the different colored necklaces. She puts on the silly hat. She dances with the children. That's not really how that teacher is on her day-to-day. But she's acting like a child to help teach the children. So Buddhadasa Bhikkhu would grab his robe and say, this is just colored cloth. This is insignificant. It means nothing. But because of his compassion for us, he dressed in the robe. He taught the fools so that they would one day get that all these robes and necklaces and prayer and all this. It's all bullshit. It doesn't really mean anything. But he's doing it to help.
One way.
Yeah. Go ahead, buddy.
Sorry, Dhamma.
No,
one way that we can think about this is that all that we really have is upaya, skillful means. All that we really have are skillful means. All that we really have are maps that point towards liberation. A robe, a Buddhist's robe, a monk's robe is a map.
Okay.
Yeah. So some people put on the map, some people wear a different map, some people do this, that, and the other thing. But the end point is never to get lost in the map. It's never to mistake the map for the terrain. And the Buddha, he left us a lot of upaya. He left us a lot of skillful means that point at liberation. He left us the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Okay? So like when Thomas was talking earlier about discipline and such, one of the skillful means that the Buddha left us is the idea that the teachings of the Buddha and the practice of the teachings of the Buddha are good in the start, they're good in the middle, and they're good in the end. This is not something that you have to strive for. This is a tool. This is something that you use to help to guide your practice. You know, so if you're sitting in your and you're really mad about meditation and everything is just coming up dissatisfaction, that's your practice. You're practicing dissatisfaction. You know, so if we can remember those things, we can remember to do what we always have needed to do, which is to look at what's going on, to make a change from the unwholesome to the wholesome, and to congratulate ourselves for having done so, and to do that again and again and again. You know, so a good way to look at Buddhist robes, or really any clothing or anything like that, is that clothing covers the private parts, and maybe it shows off some culture. Okay?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a map in one way or another, you know? And you're talking about going out in the world. So, you know, the Buddhist robes, they're not the only map that's out there. You know what I'm saying? So one of the ways to look at that is to look at that as a map, to look at that as something that you can follow to liberation, and to know, and this is why looking and knowing at what is wholesome and unwholesome, you know, through your own experience, through your own investigation, because really all that we have are skillful means.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I like how he said it's just clothing. That's seeing it with the Buddha's eyes. Like, is this a robe? Is this a shirt? Like, it's just clothing. It's just cloth. You know, there's nothing good or bad about it. Being in a monastery, if people want to pursue being a monk or stuff, I think it's wonderful. Go for it. But eventually you have to learn that it's just training wheels. It's just, like he said, it's just a tool. Don't get married to the tool. Don't get married to the labels. Don't get married to the Pali Canon. Don't get married to the Buddha. Don't get married to anything. Remain unattached. We have to remind ourselves to remain unattached to all things. And the beautiful silence comes, you know, there's not much to it. Yeah, that was awesome, man.
Another question after that would be, how do you remain unattached in a relationship? When you've got a wife, when you've got kids, when you've got a, well, house.
I love it, but I don't need it.
Okay, yeah, true.
Yeah, it's
I miss it, but I don't need it. I like it, but I don't need it.
Yeah, can be happy regardless. Happy right here, right now.
You see one man with wife and kids, and you see a monk with no kids. That's not the right way to look at it. You see one man, and he has some people around him, and you see another man, and he has some people around him. The householder has wife and kids, but rest assured, the monk has a house and kids too. He has his prayer beads, he has his bowl, he has his robes. Try taking those away from him, see what happens. Go ahead. They say they have no kids, they have children. But if they can let go of that, then who cares if they have kids? Who cares if they have robes? Relationships, everything's a relationship. You have a relationship to your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And a lot of people are obsessed with them. They don't see them as anicca, dukkha, anatta. So let go of that stuff too. So you may have a person who's in a relationship romantically with a woman, but you see them as a relationship, but he may be completely unattached. You don't know. And it's not important. It's only important that we remain unattached, whether you're monks, whether you're abbots, whether you're householders. Remain unattached in all these different bullshit labels they put on you. Whether it's university, whether it's relationships, whether it's soccer, whether it's football, whatever you call it, you know, just remain unattached. Enjoy the things as they come. Life is beautiful. It's meant to enjoy it. It's all joy. The dissatisfaction comes when we start making these distinctions, and not the distinctions themselves, when we make them we get too negatively attached to the distinctions. It's helpful, like he was saying, it's a tool. This is a rose bush, this is a human, this is a giraffe, this is this. It's helpful. But when you make a religion out of, we worship the giraffe, we worship, this is a separation from that becomes nonsense, becomes dukkha. That's why the best parents, if anybody's out there is lucky enough to have good parents, they're balanced. They're not married to the way they raise you. They understand change. They understand being open-minded. And they help nurture the kid as they would a plant, with balance and giving it the right things it needs to grow fully. And you got to give shit room to breathe. The biggest red flag of anybody, spiritual or otherwise, is they're wanting to control you. Even in this little thing. Remember, look, change. That's all I teach. Dukkha, dukkha, nirodha. That's what all the Buddha teach. It's not my teachings, it's the Buddha. And I encourage all of you to go forth and spread that to those willing to listen. If they're not willing to listen, no problem. You don't even have to mention it. But it is a very beautiful thing, and I think it would benefit a lot of people who have ears to hear this stuff. But yeah, man. Anybody else got anything they want to say? Not much to say, is there? Nope. I'll give us a couple minutes of silence. If anything comes to anybody's mind they would like to discuss, we'll discuss it. If not, then we'll end the call.
I mean, regarding relationships, I think it's really important that we cultivate, okay, this is a nice thing, this is a play thing, but not in the sense that you are not taking your partner not seriously. It's about, okay, I'm doing this because I have fun, because it is fun, not because I need it. Because when there are people who think they need somebody, they start to control them. They get jealous, they don't want them to get out and stuff like this. But when you say, okay, it's a play thing, you do it because it's fun, not because you need it. And also you're not so invested, you don't argue that much because you don't need the other person to love you. You can let them freely love you, and that's way more nicer and way more freeing and way more honest.
Beautifully said, dude. On that note, I think we'll close her up for today. Much peace and love, dudes. And thank you so much for joining, guys. I really appreciate that you guys have been consistently coming. It's very nice, not just for us, but for others to hear this stuff if they happen upon it, if they want to listen. But, yeah. Much peace and love, dudes. You guys rock. See you next Wednesday.
Much peace and love, everyone.
See you guys.
Take care, and thank you so much, friends.
See ya.